If you've already decided you need a lasting power of attorney, good. This video isn't about convincing you, it's the walkthrough, exactly how to do this correctly in the right order so you don't end up rejected by the Office of the Public Guardian and starting from scratch, because that happens more often than you'd think, usually over small, avoidable mistakes. By the end of this, you'll know exactly what to do, in what order, and what trips people up. Start here, because everything else depends on it. Decide who you want, and think seriously about replacement attorneys. A replacement steps in if your original attorney dies, loses capacity, or resigns. Without one, the whole LPA can fail if your attorney can't continue. If you're appointing more than one attorney, decide how they act. Jointly, where every decision needs unanimous agreement, a safeguard, but it means disagreement can freeze everything. Jointly and severally, where any one attorney can act alone, more flexible, and the LPA survives if one drops out, but it demands real trust between them. Or a mix, requiring joint agreement for big decisions, like selling your house, but allowing solo action on day-to-day bills. Write down your choice and your reasoning. You'll need it for the form. This is the step people understand least and get wrong most often. The certificate provider signs your LPA to certify two things, that you understand what you're granting and that you're doing this freely, without pressure. They cannot be a family member, an attorney, anyone else named in the LPA, or an employee of a care home you live in. They must be either someone who's known you personally for at least 2 years, a friend, neighbor, or colleague who can genuinely vouch for you, or a professional, a solicitor, GP, registered social worker, or independent mental capacity advocate. Pick this person before you touch the forms. Ask them directly, explain what you're asking of them, and confirm they qualify under those rules. This is the step people feel least confident about, so let's remove the guesswork. When you ask someone to be your certificate provider, here's almost word for word what to say. I'm making a lasting power of attorney, and I need someone who's known me well for at least 2 years to confirm I understand what I'm signing and that I'm not under pressure. Would you be willing to be my certificate provider? It just means reading the LPA with me, having a short conversation to confirm I understand it, and signing a section of the form. That's it. There's no test they need to pass, no legal knowledge required, just honesty about whether they believe you understand what you're doing. If they say yes, send them the relevant section of the LPA in advance, so they're not seeing it cold on signing day. 2 options: the government's digital service at gov.uk, faster and it flags errors as you go, which matters because errors are exactly what cause rejections, or the paper forms, LP1F for property and financial affairs, LP1H for health and welfare. If you're doing both LPAs, which most people should, you'll complete both forms. If your situation involves a blended family, a complex estate, or vulnerable beneficiaries, this is where a solicitor earns their fee, typically £250 to £600 on top of the registration cost. Let me remove the mystery from the online form itself, because complete the form isn't detailed enough to feel confident. When you start on gov.uk, you'll go through 5 sections in order: your details as the donor, your attorney's details, including their date of birth and address for each one, your replacement attorneys, if you're naming any, your certificate provider's details, and finally, for the financial LPA, your preferences and instructions. This is optional, and I'd actually suggest leaving it blank unless a solicitor has advised specific wording, because badly worded instructions are a common cause of later disputes. The system saves your progress, so you don't need to finish in one sitting. Budget about 45 minutes to an hour per LPA if you're doing this without a solicitor. This is the single most common reason applications get rejected. The order is fixed. You sign first, then your certificate provider signs, then your attorneys sign. Not simultaneously, not attorneys first, in that exact sequence. Each signature must be independently witnessed by a different adult. You cannot witness your attorney's signature, and your attorneys cannot witness yours or each other's. A spouse who's also named as an attorney cannot act as a witness for that reason. Get this sequence wrong, and the Office of the Public Guardian will reject the whole application. You start again from the beginning. Once signed correctly, submit the completed LPA to the Office of the Public Guardian with the registration fee, £92 per LPA, so £184 for both. If you're on a low income or receiving certain means-tested benefits, use Form LPA 120 to apply for a full exemption or a reduced fee. Check this before you pay, because you may owe nothing at all. This is the step that catches people out, because it's the one you have no control over. Current registration timelines run 8 to 20 weeks, often towards the longer end during busy periods, meaning the total time from submitting your forms to receiving your registered LPA back can be 16 to 22 weeks. Your LPA cannot be used until it's registered. This is exactly why the advice throughout is do this now while you're well, not when a crisis is already unfolding and you need it in days, not months.
First, don't panic. This is fixable. It just costs time. They'll send a letter explaining exactly what's wrong, usually a signing order error or a missing signature. For most issues, you don't need to complete a brand new form. You correct the specific page and resubmit with a covering note referencing their letter. If the certificate provider was invalid, that's more serious. You'll need a new one and to redo that section's signing. The registration fee isn't lost, but expect the wait to restart from resubmission. The single best way to avoid this entirely, before submitting, go through the mistakes list one more time as a final check. Let me run through what actually causes rejections, or worse, an LPA that turns out to be worthless when you need it. Signing out of order, covered above and the most common. Witnessing errors, an attorney witnessing another attorney or witnessing yours. An unqualified certificate provider, a family member, an attorney or a care home employee acting as certificate provider is an automatic rejection. Appointing an undischarged bankrupt as attorney on a financial LPA, this disqualifies them immediately, and if they're your only attorney, the LPA fails entirely. Not registering it. An unregistered LPA has zero legal effect, no matter how correctly it was signed. And finally, storing it somewhere nobody can find. Your attorneys need to produce this document to banks, hospitals and care homes when the moment comes. Consider certified copies for each attorney so the original doesn't need to travel. Once your registered LPA arrives back from the OPG, it's ready to use, but only if the people who need it can find it. Store the original somewhere safe but accessible. Tell every attorney exactly where it is and consider getting certified copies made so attorneys aren't relying on a single physical document. Let's make this real. Say you're doing this today. Monday, you ask your sister to be an attorney and your neighbour of 8 years to be your certificate provider using the script from earlier. Tuesday, your neighbour agrees. You send them the relevant LPA section. Wednesday to Friday, you complete both forms on gov.uk, about an hour each, leaving the Preferences section blank. The following week, you arrange signing day. You sign first, your neighbour signs and is witnessed, then your sister signs and is witnessed by someone else. You post both forms with the £184 fee. 16 to 22 weeks later, they arrive back registered. Total hands-on time, under 3 hours, spread over 2 weeks. The waiting is the only hard part, and that's exactly why starting today matters more than doing it perfectly. Here's the full sequence in order. 1. Choose your attorneys and decide on replacements. 2. Choose your certificate provider and confirm they qualify. 3. Complete the LP1F and LP1H forms online or on paper. 4. Sign in the correct order, you, then certificate provider, then attorneys, each independently witnessed. 5. Check for a fee exemption using LP120 if applicable. 6. Submit with the £92 per LPA fee. 7. Wait the 16 to 22 weeks. 8. Once registered, tell your attorneys where it's kept. That's the complete process, start to finish. If you haven't watched the first video explaining what an LPA actually is and why the timing matters so much, go back and watch that one too, link in the description. If this walkthrough saved you from a mistake that would have cost you months, subscribe. I cover probate, estate planning and wills every week in plain English. Drop a comment if you've already started your LPA or if this is the nudge that's finally getting you to do it. Take care of yourselves.